Good morning. Good morning. We got a lot to do today. A lot to do today. Sorry it took so long to get started on the stream. Let me turn this down. Good morning, beautiful people. Really exciting stuff. PewDiePie has come out as a Linux user. Really exciting for the community. Great day. Good morning. So, I have not watched the PewDiePie Arch Linux video. I wanted to save it to, oh my god, these glasses. What is going on? Okay. I have not watched the PewDiePie Linux video because I wanted to save it to watch it on stream with you. Because I thought it would be fun. The gang watches a PewDiePie video. So, who wants to live react? And then we can do some cybersecurity news. We're so locked in. Oh god, my necklace came off. PewDiePie is like on such an arc right now. I'm so proud of him. You know, the anti-Semitic shit was not good, but I think he's kind of like let him. I'm only here to hear you say PewDiePie, how he says it with the ridiculously high pitch. He doesn't do that anymore though. He doesn't go, wait, how does it go? How is up, Roses? PewDiePie! I can't. How's up, Roses? PewDiePie! I can't. But we're gonna watch Le PewDiePie video. Oh, you know what? Ooh, that could be fun. I could do it this way. Hold on. Let me sign into all my things. God, ad blocker is so annoying sometimes. And then some ordinary gamer reacted to it, which was so exciting. PewDiePie Linux user, Lunix. PewDiePie uses Lunix. Okay. Let's do this. Studio mode. Oh, why is it? I wanted to show that there, and then we're gonna do capture application audio capture Chrome. Pretty sick. Pretty sick. Okay. So we're gonna live react to PewDiePie as a Linux user. I haven't watched it at all. I'm very excited. I saved it to live react on stream. Let me pause my music. Hold on.
Oh, you little K. Oh, you poor boy.
The average Linux user's audio drivers sound like this.
You disgusting little thing. Oh, what happened to you? Oh, look at yourself. You're the...
I don't know why, like, this is, like...
blob from I have no mouth but I must scream. Oh, who did this to you? Was it Windows? Oh, Mac OS? Oh, don't worry. I can save you. Install Linux.
Bro, it's the other way! It's the other way! Your shit sounds like that on Linux! What the fuck, bro? Enjoy configuring your audio drivers.
Like anyway, let me start this off by saying I am not a tech guy. You saw my PC building video.
Looks all bent.
I'm surprised the whole thing hasn't exploded. It's like sitting next to a bomb every day. But what you did see was 0.5 seconds of the video where I installed Linux on the thing, and a lot of people just went, what? Some people...
We need to call this out. PewDiePie has not been quiet about his uses of Linux. He posted months ago. I would like to remind you all. I've been known. I'm sorry, I gotta do this. I gotta remind y'all that I've been known that PewDiePie was a Linux user because he posted on his Instagram, a guy who rarely posts on Instagram, posts an Instagram story of him on fucking, of him using Linux. And I was like, no, why is no one talking about this? And I posted this meme in March. This was a real Instagram story. It had to be done.
People seem surprised and confused.
Something possessed him to put Linux on it.
Some people were excited. At the time, I didn't know the power that I had. I was like a baby with a rocket launcher. For years, I have been tortured by Windows. But now, alas, I am finally free. I escaped the Windows cave. I saw the sun. The shadows are gone. It blinded me for a moment. And now I'm speaking to you in the cave. Enough reference. Okay, so I'm gonna yap about Linux for as long as this video is, and you're gonna listen. I want to start off by going through the reasons why I switched to Linux. It's different for everybody.
I'm gonna watch this on 0.15 so that we can be efficient. Yeah, bro, you're backlit as fuck.
Number one, Windows talks to me like I'm a baby. Now, mentally, I might be, but that does not warrant.
Well, yes, Windows does talk to all of its users like it's a baby because they have to, because Windows is literally the most fucking insecure operating system. Don't forget that. Like, Linux inherently, or Windows inherently has to talk to their users like babies because 98% of the time it's fucking boomers who need to be told 20 times, don't click the malicious link.
You want Candy Crush? You want Candy Crush on your computer? You want to use Bing? Yes. Are you sure you want to delete that file? Are you super duper sure you want to delete the file? That's how it talks to me, and I don't like it. Linux, on the other hand, literally puts a gun in your hand and says, my first sort of aha moment when I installed Linux or started using it was, wait a minute, it does exactly what I want it to do. And this is a really powerful.
Yes, and that is powerful, but not everyone should be using Linux. It is very powerful.
Feeling about that. I do want to show you guys my setup as well. I will get into that. But first, reason number two. As an epic minimalist, the bloat. The bloat is real. It always bothered me. Anytime.
Okay, I just have to say this. In a time where storage, memory storage, is hyper affordable, a little bloat, like Windows specifically, yes, has a lot of bloatware. Remove it all. This is why I never use my Windows computer. But like, in a time where memory is the cheapest it's ever been, we've like approached the maximum limit of Moore's Law. Chill.
I install a new Windows. I spent like an hour trying to uninstall all the pre-packaged BS that I don't want. Windows is like, I know you paid $100 or whatever for me, but I'm still gonna put ads in here. Yes. Put a little AI in here. You want that, right? That doesn't benefit me. It's for you, the consumer. Bing! It doesn't benefit me that you use Bing, but please use Bing. Microsoft is an annoying suite, apparently. With Linux, nothing. Serenity. Peace. Don't even get me started on the...
I just think that calling yourself like I don't know, digital minimalist, like what he's preaching about right now, just to me sounds really funny.
Windows taskbar. You control what's on your computer. Duh, it's obvious. How
He's
is this
not
not
wrong.
a thing?
He's not wrong. He's not wrong. Here's the thing about like operating systems and like why I personally, not just like, I think a Mac is like the Hannah Montana, best of both worlds, you know? Like and this is why I like using like my iPhone. If you are someone who is like super into like hyper customization of like everything, yes, be a Windows user, be a Linux user, be an Android user. I am personally not sitting there every day like refining and fine tuning what my computer looks like. Like I didn't change the background of my computer for like months after I got it.
Reason number 3, customization. I discovered this afterwards. Customizing on Linux is a beautiful thing. On Windows, you can maybe change your wallpaper, change a little bit of colors, whoopity-doo. On Linux, you can change reality itself. Since Linux is built modular, you can swap out your GUI entirely. You don't even have to use one.
GUI. You can swap out your GUI. People who erase their setups are unemployed. Yeah, people who erase their setups have no life. Their GUI. Listen, he's not a tech guy. We have to be really nice.
You can cut off the head of Linux and it'll still be like, hey, I'm here, what's up? Customizing on Linux is called rising, and I got way too into it. I cooked hard. I can't wait to show you guys.
He
now,
made
reason
a bowl
number 4,
of rice.
gaming. Gaming on Linux is finally real. I actually installed Linux 15 years ago. That's right, I'm old. And I uninstalled it after like a couple days, as a lot of people do, when they realize, oh, I can't use the things I need on Linux. And for me, that was gaming back then, because it's like, well, then what's the point? But now,
He's not wrong.
gaming on Linux is real, at last. So Valve came in like Gandalf in Helm's Deep, riding a Steam Deck with Proton. So I think this is a perfect example how Linux benefits everyone. The fact that Valve as a company recognized maybe Microsoft has a bit too much power. If they wanted to and started being shady, locking things down, taking cuts, they absolutely could. And it's not like it would be uncharacteristic for them to do. So Valve started improving gaming on Linux, boosted driver support, and they built on what was already there from open source software like Wine by doing.
I hope that Valve is paying open source contributors. You're not doing anything worthwhile on Linux if your racing your setup lasts more. If your racing setup lasts more than 2 days without having to reflash the ISO. It's like here's the thing. He kind of points it out himself. Is like using Linux is good if you have the time to do it, but if like he has the time to do it, bro's retired. He has 110 million on YouTube. This got 3 million views. He's good. He doesn't need money. He's retired. He's generationally wealthy. He's coasting. He's got time to rice Linux. I don't.
Doing this, Valve benefits, consumer benefits, ecosystem grows, win, win, win. It really feels like an alternate reality. This totally could not have been a thing. And it also makes me realize just how many things can be better if people just weren't so greedy. Can we just fix them? So thank you, Linux, and thank you, Base Gaben. Now I've gone through the reasons why I switched to Linux. Let me just explain why maybe not switching is a good idea. Because everything good comes with a sacrifice. If you're swapping to Linux, you'll likely have to give something up. I don't know what it is, but for me, it was Photoshop. I used Photoshop, again, for 15 years. All the shortcuts, all my workflow, it's all baked into my brain. The way I use Photoshop, I don't think about it. It's just, here's the thumbnail. It's not beautiful, but I get the job done. Unfortunately, Adobe is a garbage company, and their software just won't run on Linux.
PewDiePie throwing hands at tech companies is so entertaining. He's fighting Microsoft. He's fighting Adobe. RIP Adobe. RIP his Adobe sponsorships. RIP his Microsoft sponsorships. PewDiePie throwing hands.
A lot of artists are jumping ship. They don't want to use Adobe anymore because they realize it's a terrible company. Me as well. I thought, you know what? It's time. I'll swap over. I know the open source alternative is GIMP. I've heard about this forever. And I thought, you know, it'll feel good. I'll feel good leaving Adobe. So I'm ready. I go to their website. I click through the 1,000 pages. I crawl through the bushes just to find the goddamn unsubscribe button, and I was so ready. I was gonna be like, fuck you, Adobe, just unsubscribe. You know what happens? You know what happens?
You get charged
They
for
hit
it.
me with an unsubscription fee. Yes. Those.
Uh-huh.
I'm sorry, what?
How did I learn to next PewDiePie video? How did I learn to code in a week? No, here's the thing, is that we know. Okay, so who do you think PewDiePie reached out to when he was installing Linux? He definitely like DM'd the LTT team. He definitely probably like slid into like some ordinary gamers DMs to like ask questions. But like PewDiePie niching down into tech content creation, this is the next era. Primogen is not a Linux user. Primogen is not a Linux pro. Literally, some ordinary gamer has videos of him talking about installing Linux and like how to install Linux. Like some ordinary gamer literally works in tech, absolutely based. Like I've watched some ordinary gamer Linux videos; they're amazing. So you know that PewDiePie slid into the DMs. He was like, "What's the difference between apt and like what's all the package managers?"
I have to pay to not use.
Is it me, or did he glow up every fucking day and now he's gorgeous with the Linux? Yes, PewDiePie has had his amazing glow up. He like years ago he posted like a shirtless photo, full six pack, and everyone's like, it's like that Squilliam fancy pants meme where Squidward sees him and he's like, Squidward looks at him and he's just like, oh, he's got all the success, the accolades, blah blah blah, and Squidward's like, oh my god, I have to think about it in his underpants, like I'll stop being nervous, and then Squidward thinks about it and then it's just Squilliam fancy pants with like an absolute six pack and just goes, oh no, he's hot. PewDiePie has the time, money, and energy. He doesn't need to work. That's what happens when you get free time and you don't have to work. You could just be high.
Your software. It was like $65 or something. It's insane. What the? If anything, it just made me realize, okay, it's over. I'm never going back. So like I said, the open source alternative is GIMP. GIMP! And since this is Linux, open source, you can do whatever you want. I downloaded this icon pack that changed the icons so they look like the Photoshop icons. That helped a little bit. Then I downloaded a shortcut command list that matches the one on Photoshop. Boom, made it a little easier. You know, I'm still not 100% used to it, but the fact that I can do stuff like this really helps. For me, personally, a worthy sacrifice. I hope this doesn't sound like copium, but genuinely, it feels good that I was able to move on.
It
At the
is
end
a
of the
little
day,
bit of copium.
some tools are
It
only
is a
going to
little bit
work
of
on Windows and only going to work on Mac, but what you gain on Linux is so much more. Freedom. Join us. I'm just praying that Adobe is not just gonna show up one day and be like, there's another fee. I'll meet them in a dark alleyway. They'll be like, there's a little fee. Now that I've convinced you to swap to Linux, you have the wonderful choice of picking a distro. Yay, so many of them.
Linux
I
not
hear people going
included,
like,
killing
I don't know
myself.
which one to pick. What do I do? There's so many. Just pick one. It's a wonderful thing that you can choose. Don't you understand? The world is your flavor. Look at all these spices. I went with Mint because it's the same one that I installed 15 years ago, and I knew that it was beginner friendly and that it still holds up.
I commented on. I forgot wait, I can. Linux propaganda.
Pretty much feels like Windows, just better, okay? You don't even need to touch the scary terminal. If you don't want to, you don't have to. It's okay. You should though. Now, let's jump into my computer really quick. Oh, look at that. I'm recording with OBS. Open source is always the best
Wait, there
source.
is OBS on.
Couldn't get Bandicam. They didn't have a Bandicam. I can't believe I paid for that. There's like free versions everywhere, and that's so much better. Okay, all right, so this is the terminal. You probably heard about it in Linux. Feels a bit strange at the beginning. Let me just show you how it works. But first, wait. Oh, yes, today's sponsor? 3, 2, 1. Wrong! Wow, look at ASCII art. Feels a bit strange at the beginning. Let me just show you how it works.
Sorry, I need to make this like full screen for a second. It's gonna look weird. He wrote a bash script! He wrote a bash script! PewDiePie wrote a bash script, everybody!
Works, but first, wait. Oh,
Oh,
yes,
God.
today's
Sorry. He
sponsor?
wrote a bash script. He wrote a
3,
bash
2,
script. PewDiePie coding
1.
confirmed.
Wrong!
PewDiePie
Jeff-
getting a job as a bash
Wow, look at
engineer.
ASCII art.
PewDiePie wrote a
I
bash
love it.
script, everyone.
Beautiful PewDiePie tub. Right now, you get a free
He's a
PewDiePie
Linux
shaker
user!
tub, which is an amazing deal. If you order $50 or more, highly recommend. It's a great deal. This is probably the best deal you're ever gonna get with G Fuel. Please take advantage. I genuinely mean that. You get the booty shaker free and 30%
Skip the
last
ad.
video. But the first thing that really blew my mind with Linux, I just noticed my computer was booting kind of slowly. So I found this command called system.
Hold on. I cannot. Give me a second. I need to make this bigger, and I will readjust on your end.
system deanalyze, and it tells you exactly how long it takes for your computer to actually load and what part takes a certain amount of time. And it used to be like 45 seconds. I was like, dude, this is terrible. So then I found another command called blame, and then you can see
someone said, I want to know who introduced him to Linux. He said he installed it 15 years ago and couldn't use it because of gaming.
exactly what part is kind of slowing down your system, which got me into like really.
I should just do this. Hold on. Chad, I hope you don't mind.
Optimizing it, and I had so much fun doing that, and it just made me realize, just like on Windows, if my computer is kind of slow, you just kind of deal with it. It's like, oh, okay, well, what can you do? On Linux, it's like the world is your oyster. You can fix it. Personally, I like that kind of stuff. The second thing that blew my mind with the Linux terminal was just how fast it is at searching. Searching on Windows is so annoying. It takes forever. Sometimes it doesn't even find the file, even though you type the name of it perfectly. And a lot of times they just Bing it. They're like, oh, you want to search for your file?
The issue is that search recently on most operating systems has been shit. Like Mac literally fucked their search up recently. It's been so bad.
Oh, maybe no. Actually, you want to look it online. That's what you want to do. It's like, no. Linux, you can find any file, whatever you want. This is searching all JPEGs on my computer. That's a bad example, actually. The other thing that I love about it is that you don't have to just search the file. You can also search text inside the file. So let's say you forgot what the file is called, but you remember roughly some stuff inside it.
Here's the issue. At least say it's grep.
Bada bing, bada
okay,
boom.
there it is.
What the hell is this? Spotify password text. Balls deep. I did not do that. What? Searching files on Linux is super fast. It made me realize just how it should be on a computer again. The most obvious thing with the terminal is that, let's say you install the operating system and you need to also put all the programs that you want to use on it. Usually you have to go on the browser, Google it, look up their page, go to their download page, dodge all the fake ads and all that crap, and do that and install and run each one, wait for it to install, yada yada. It takes forever. On Linux, you just go sudo apt install, what do we want? We want VLC, Firefox, OBS Studio.
Okay, but I just want to point out that also don't just randomly install shit. Double check. You still should go online and double check to confirm that it is the right package name, because package squatting, typo squatting is 100% a thing, and people will squat on package names that are similar to the ones that you want. And welcome to PewDiePie gets introduced to supply chain security attacks.
Boom. Thank you. And now I can sit and look at the screen and feel like I'm a hacker. Yes, I know what all of this means. Every single letter I'm soaking in with my brain. There's so much you can do with the terminal. It's insanely powerful. I can make a whole video about it, but I don't want to keep this too long-winded. And in reality, I just want to show you my rise on my laptop, to be honest. That's the whole reason I'm making this video. I had this old laptop. I mean, it's not that old, but I just never used it because I didn't really like using it. I mentioned before there's many distros of Linux, and I wanted to try one called Arch, partially because of the meme. It's kind of become a meme because it's a little difficult to install Arch, so it's like a flex to use it. For some reason, I went on a god run and I had no issue. I always get stuck on the dumbest ever for like 12 hours. I don't know what happened that time. But I also wanted to download Arch because it's a minimalist distro. Whatever you put, or at least 90% of it, is there because you decided to put it there. And it's also very highly customizable, which are two elements that I love, so I knew I was going to love it. All right, let's go into my laptop. I think it makes sense for me to show it without any customization first, because
I just want to remind everyone, PewDiePie is in fact an Arch Linux user. He's better than you. PewDiePie Arch Linux user confirmed.
It'll just be confusing, and I need to talk to people that haven't used Linux. My first favorite thing, which I have on Mint as well, is just shortcuts on my keyboard to open programs. Open terminal, open file manager, open browser, close it, whatever. It's all there. It's such a nice workflow and have a more keyboard-centric way of using your computer, especially on a laptop. But even in general, you know, the whole like, okay, let me click on the start menu and just find the thing. If I don't have a keybind, I can open Rofi and just search for it and open it. I don't want to over-explain things as well, but yeah, this is my terminal on this setup. I'm using it like
Arch Linux is like notoriously the memed most difficult. I don't actually know which one is the most difficult, but Arch Linux is memed.
Pretty, and this is NeoFetch, which shows my specs. And usually people have it.
Didn't the NeoFetch guy like quit? Didn't he say, I'm done? Didn't the NeoFetch guy just like give up on life? Yes, PewDiePie is an Arch Linux user with a wife, 1%. Studio mode, hold on. Oh, fuck yeah. I fixed it, hold on. We're gonna transition to this. Let's close studio mode. Double check to make sure that we have Chrome audio coming in on this one.
I have an ASCII art. It sounds like I'm saying ASCII. Ashy, I'll call it Ashy, of their distro. And if you saw my mint one earlier, I was like, oh.
Hold on, I just screwed something up. What is going on? Here we go. This is the one I want. My bad. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Oh, it wouldn't be cool if I do like my own custom Ashy. And then I thought, oh, wouldn't it be cool if I do my own animated Ashy? So I figured out how to do that. It took a little bit of tinkering and schminkering, but it's just so nice to look at. I love it. So I'm running
PewDiePie and his
Hyperland,
coder
which
arc is crazy.
This beautiful tile manager. It automatically sorts it for me whenever I open something. This is such a nice...
In what world do you need that many? Do you need that many tiles open? Please, someone explain to me.
workflow, and I can close it all as well. You can literally open these until infinite. When you're on a laptop, when you have limited screen space, it's such a great way to work with it. The fact that they're always there means I never have to look for them because I know they're there.
PewDiePie is a better bash engineer than me.
And if my workspace is full, I can look at this. Swap to another one. This is workspace number 2, and
Here we go. Okay, so apparently Windows and Mac has this too, but Linux is still miles ahead with tiling managers and scripting. Bro,
let's say I'm working on a project on workspace 1.
He is using
I can then work on
i3.
another.
What do you mean by that? Mac, y'all know me. Y'all know me. I am the queen of using too many desktops. I always have like 17 desktops. Tiling manager on lock. Is he like, what manager is he using? Oh, okay. Someone says i3WM.
Thing on workspace
Probably.
2 and go back and forth vice versa instantly. I love this way of using a computer. It's so sick. The first thing I really loved about this Arch Hyperland setup was just how quick and smooth it looked.
I want to read this. Okay, so I want to read this. I'm gonna go full screen.
At least.
I don't know what you can see. So it says operating system Arch Linux, x86-64, host ROG Zephyrus G15, kernel 6.13.8 Arch 1.1, uptime 59 minutes, packages 976 from Pacman, 6 from Flatpak, shell. He's using SESH. PewDiePie is a SESH user! PewDiePie is a SESH user! PewDiePie is a SESH user! Let's go! PewDiePie SESH user! Resolution, DE, I don't know what the DE is, Hyperland. His theme is Malaria Dark. Icons is Papyrus. Terminal, Alacrity. He's using Alacrity for his terminal? He's using Alacrity for his terminal. Terminal font, Gohan, Gohu font. His GPU, AMD, CPU, AMD, GPU, NVIDIA, memory. Okay. Zish enjoyer.
Like,
Zish
open.
enjoyer.
It's so nice. But then I open my browser and it's like, oh, you see that? Ew. Again. Oh, that took forever. And it loads so ugly. So my first thought, okay, well, maybe I can upgrade my SSD to make it snappier and quicker. But then I thought, I'm on Linux. I can do whatever I want. So let's run a time here, Firefox. Let's ignore the CSS errors. I tinkered a bit too much. Don't worry about it. What was that? 2 seconds. What?
PewDiePie is actually in his coding era. He's CSS errors. Cutie, so cute.
So I figured out a way, and
it's
it's so dumb. I won't explain how I did it, but the fact that I was able to do
PewDiePie
it.
streams
Boom,
coding.
instant. Boom, 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 boom. I love it. I love it so
Five big
much.
booms.
It's these small things that makes you really fall in love with using Linux. Anyway, the first thing I customized was Waybar. Oh, I forgot to say I can move around as well if I want to. Anyway, and move them to a different workspace. So yeah, this is my taskbar. It's like the Windows taskbar, except you decide exactly what's on it and customizing it. I put calendar, turn it on and off, internet, Bluetooth, quick access to all these things, you know. I really enjoy this as well. It's basically just tells me if I'm connected to NordVPN or not, and I can toggle by clicking on it, and it tells me which country I'm connected to.
Okay,
up here it shows which
PewDiePie.
workspace I'm using.
PewDiePie, you can't be preaching. You can't be preaching Linux like that and be a NordVPN user. Come on, bro. Get it fucking right. Align that shit and get on. Why am I forgetting the name? Get on Mulvad. What the fuck, bro? Get on Mulvad. Use Mulvad. Get off of fucking Nord. What the fuck? Get on Mulvad. Get on Mulvad. You know Mulvad is that good. You know Mulvad's got that good. He probably got a lifelong. Yeah, he probably did get a lifelong from Nord.
Since I have these reactor in the background, I thought it'd be cool to like LARP as if each workspace was each reactor. I'm on reactor A, there's reactor B.
Wait, I love that
C,
theme. That's so cute.
And D, where it's recording.
Like, PewDiePie is literally just he's in his side quest arc. Like what's his name? He was in his side quest arc for a quick second. Justin Khan. Hello. If you don't know, how are you on Twitch and you don't know who Justin Khan is? Twitch originally was Justin.tv. Justin.tv, Justin of Justin TV is Justin Khan. Justin Khan literally was on his fucking side quest arc. He was like a DJ. He was making YouTube videos. He was just like fucking around. PewDiePie is on his side quest arc. He's done everything. He's living his best life. Von Dutch, cult classic. You know, he's doing whatever he wants to do now. He's made his money. He's got his bag. He's kind of just like, I'm gonna start programming. He's kind of like, I'm gonna get fucking shredded. He's buying land in Japan. He's like learning to draw. He's in his side quest arc. Period.
Oh, yes. Then I have my battery bar, which is ASCII. I keep saying ASCII, which is ASCII art. I got the volume.
What?
Yes. Then I have my battery bar, which is ASCII. I keep saying ASCII, which is ASCII art.
ASCII? It's ASCII. It's ASCII art. ASCII. It's ASCII. Right?
I got the volume. And you know, look, if my volume goes too low, it gets red, it's critical. Just to really LARP the whole nuclear reactor UI. To me, it's cool.
You gotta remember he's Swedish, absolutely, but he didn't want to say the ass part of it. It's ASCII. PewDiePie, it's ASCII. You're good. You were right the first time.
The second thing I did was
we love your
widgets
we love your energy.
I'm not gonna lie. Here we go.
Snaps for good energy, Pews.
All right, so this is my desktop. Let me play some music actually. So first I had the
PewDiePie working audio drivers, impressive.
this
Let's
visualizer,
go.
because I just saw a lot of people doing it. It's using Kava, but I changed it again with ASCII, so it looks a little more
ASCII,
matrix.
it's ASCII.
Here we have my uptime, just how long it's been running, and how much until my battery's out. I should probably charge my laptop. CPU temp, I should probably change, cool it down a bit. All of this is, it changes, it's not just like visual flare. Well, it is, but CPU load, which changes, RAM usage, storage. This tells me which workspace I'm on. Right now, I'm on reactor B. Power consumption, completely useless, but I needed it to look cool. And then we have my two fans for CPU and GPU, and then this little spinny fan thing to show it. Upload and download, latency, and then just another VPN thing. It's kind of pointless. And then basic weather. And then finally, to make it sort of all work together, I added a script that basically scans if I'm using a window. So if I open or close, it sort of transitions in and out of Waybar because I don't need it on both. That's just like too much information in my opinion. So this is on my desktop. It's just a nice vibe here. We just chill over here, and then when I'm in workflow, it blackens it all out, and I can just get going on my schwingy thingy. Oh, and in the middle here, my I forgot to say it has power profiles, my laptop, so I thought it'd be cool to change them. It's silenced, balanced, or power mode, but I changed it to Razgon, which means overclock. You see my fans are spinning, and these are faster as well because the fans are spinning more. This is so sick to me because I'm remembering what this laptop used to be running Windows. I never wanted to use it. I hated it. Now it went from a hardware that I never used to my favorite piece of hardware because it not just looks great, it runs great. I love it. It's so sick. I had so much fun customizing this. It was just a blast. Yeah, I hope you guys appreciate it as well. I've been doing so much more. I built this camera as well. Like I mentioned earlier, you can communicate with Linux even without a graphical.
PewDiePie is in his, like, literally in his engineering arc, and this is so great. Thank you so much for the Prime.
User interface GUI. That made me so excited. So I'm like, wait, that means I can use other computers at my disposal. For some reason, to me, that's just like really cool, and I wanted to try what I could do with it. I want to show this in another video maybe because I feel like it's too much yapping. But my point is, I've been having so much fun, just tinkering, messing around, feeling like a hacker. But I gotta be real as well. Linux is not perfect. There's a lot of issues.
Not
a good
perfect.
example is, again, my laptop. When I first installed Arch, none of my F keys worked. Actually, sorry, 3 out of 12 worked out of the box. So I had spent a long time bringing them back to life. For me, it was kind of fun. I was like, oh, got another one
It's
working.
nice that he
okay,
found
let's
something
move on
that
to the next
actually
one.
interests
But I
him.
can
He's
imagine
so
for a lot of
lucky.
people that just want things to work, you know, maybe this is not for you. And maybe it should work, you know?
And that's
I think
true.
since
He's
Linux
not
is
wrong
not
about
as
that.
popular on desktop as Windows or Mac, this is just the reality. There's just not enough support for it. On Linux, if something doesn't work, it's kind of up to you to fix it. And,
Absolutely.
and yeah, that's just how it is. I was trying to
Absolutely.
update my drivers for my GPU, and I got a black screen 6 times. And I had to do a hard restore every time. It's, you know, not the most fun thing in the world. There are other things I could rather be doing, which is why I need you to install Linux. So the more people we can get together, the better Linux becomes.
propaganda.
And I get it now. Like that's why people
Linux
were so excited about me
propaganda.
using Linux, because Linux is not a product; it's a platform, and it also already exists everywhere. NASA, SpaceX, it runs on Linux. All the supercomputers, your TV, your smart fridge, your phone if it's Android, it's all Linux, baby. I think it's just so cool the fact that this all happened because one Finnish guy in like the 90s just decided, hey, I can write a better kernel.
I can't believe PewDiePie is making 2025 the year of the Linux desktop. That's crazy.
Finnish naivety, typical Finnish behavior. They think they can do anything. But without that, you know, things would have been very different. At least there wouldn't be an alternative. And I just think it's so cool that people saw what he did, got excited, and wanted to join in. So please consider joining in. Now, if you're even just a little bit curious, I recommend trying Linux. Maybe try dual booting it if you're not sure. You can still keep your Windows or whatever. You're gonna kill it later. You might as well kill it now. Test it out, break it, get upset. On Linux, I feel alive at last, at long last. Thank you for watching. Let me just type out my goodbyes.
Okay, now we need to reply.
Today we got a Linux.
We need to watch the reply.
Hello,
Muda.
guys and gals. Me, Muda Harn. There's 2 types of Linux users. Okay,
Muda!
you can either be Terry Davis writing crazy messages to the Central Intelligence Agency, or
Okay.
you can apparently.
Well, first of all, let's just establish. Excellent video, PewDiePie. I think he did a great job. For the general consensus of the average user of non-Linux familiar people, it's ASCII, but it's the same energy as when what's her name, Swell Entertainment said pishing instead of fishing. Listen, you're not in the industry. We can't be mad at you. But I think that was like a really, really great. Is my lip blue? I think that was a really, really great walkthrough, talking about why you enjoy it, things like that. I would love to give PewDiePie a word of advice. I mean, he already has spent years interacting with gamers. Linux brings out the true incels of the internet, so be prepared. Be prepared, King. Be prepared, King. I think that was a great video. You know, he talked about why he moved. He talked about his favorite parts. He showed off his favorite parts. He's talked a little bit about the customizations that he made. I think overall, just good job. Like, and he says it at the end, Linux is not for everyone. And that's true. Like, it's why, like, you have to have the time and energy to be into Linux. PewDiePie is in his side quest arc. He doesn't need to like be focused on a full-time job. He's done. He's enjoying his life. He has a kid, he has a wife, he's buying land. He has 4 dogs now. I think I watch his vlogs. I think he literally owns 4 dogs now, which is actually insane. And he's in a country learning a new language. He's in his self-improvement era. He's so lucky, and I'm so jealous. I'm so jealous. Back to Muda's response.
Apparently be PewDiePie, who made a Linux installation video. I installed Linux. So should you. You know, it's kind of wild, ladies and gentlemen. I remember starting this whole YouTube journey.
Also, someone asked if I'm a Muda fan. Absolutely. I love Muda's videos. They are so funny. I love his videos so much. He is like someone I think that a lot of people in this community aspire to be, because he is very technical, but he's also able to do excellent commentary, not just focused on our community, but just in things in general. And just his videos are just really Muda has done a great job of just building a really interesting platform that he can do whatever the fuck he wants, and people are excited to see what he does. I'm a fan of Muda. I would love to meet him one day.
Journey, like probably a decade ago, and I was, reviewing creepypastas like Sonic.exe, Godzilla NES, Jeff the Killer. You got crazy stuff like the Jadja Sable, good old-fashioned Majora's Mask creepypasta. And my personal favorite that I'm actually revisiting in a recent video, actually, a couple weeks out, is Elder Scrolls Morrowind Look to the
his
Stars, okay?
politics are shit, though.
But of course,
We're not-
PewDiePie, the man
this is-
here,
we're not
uploaded a
getting
video
into
about 6
politics.
hours ago. I installed Linux, so should you. Now, for full context, to understand, about a month ago, I looked at a video from PewDiePie where he basically showcased his new computer build. And he built this all AMD rig, and for a few seconds, he showcased that he actually had Linux installed onto it. Now, of course, this got the attention of yours truly, and actually the man commented on the video that I...
Whoa, okay, switching to Linux has been life therapy for my broken Windows soul. Legit opened my eyes to try it again after catching a vid of you and Linus. Oh my God, I was so right. I called it. I called it. I was like, he definitely saw Linus and Muda talk about this shit, reached out to them and talk. I was so right.
uploaded, and it's surprising to see that, I'm in the PewDiePie. His whole journey's wild, dude. I'm doing the soy jack. Not on there. But yeah, PewDiePie was a little shocked that people were pointing out that, he's a Linux user, and it's kind of an important thing to talk about because this video is wild, okay? It's wild because one of the largest creators out there, and granted PewDiePie is a retired guy, but to have his reach and him promote things like Linux, for instance, is actually quite impressive. And I wanted to kind of look at this video, kind of look at his perspective of it, and how much it actually mirrored one of the reasons I switched over to it as well, too.
I'm confused.
Something possessed him to put Linux on it.
Some people were excited. At the time, I didn't know the power that I had. I was like a baby with a rocket launcher. For years, I have been tortured by...
As a reminder, we knew he's been running Linux. We knew this. I think it's very impressive that people were able to make entire, probably, there's people out there who definitely made 13-minute videos just talking about the one little snippet of the line of him showing the fact that PewDiePie is using Arch Linux. Is using Linux. That's insane. How do you say so little with...
window.
So yeah, that's a great point. He was tortured by Windows. And I think a lot of people are really tortured by Windows, to be honest with you. Now, in the last couple years, I would say Microsoft has done some kind of goofy stuff with Windows 11. And again, before we go into this video, I don't care if you use Windows. I don't care if you use Mac. I don't care if you use Linux, okay? As long as your personal computer has what you feel comfortable with it, I don't really care, okay? I know that I've been...
That's the tea. And Muda and I are on the same page. People who, Opera OS gatekeep, just say you're single. Just say you have no life.
With Windows users in the past, but honestly, if it works for you, it works for you. But this video, and much like PewDiePie's video, it's all about showing you guys that there is actually an alternative that you can use to switch over to. There's a lot of people that complain about Microsoft Windows installing things like, for instance, Microsoft Recall Copilot tools, which for anybody that doesn't remember, it's the tool that Microsoft uses to screenshot your computer using the AI features on new Copilot computers and store a record of what you've been doing on your system. Now, this might be useful for some people, but it's also a bit of a security risk for some people as well, too, understandably. And some may not like these extra bloated features on an already incredibly bloated system. One of the things that I personally don't like Microsoft doing was actually forcing people to use Microsoft account to use Windows 11. So yeah, about a month ago, they removed this one loophole that actually I had used pretty much every time I made a Windows 11 virtual machine or whatever, or just something to test things in, all so that they could force you to use an official Microsoft account. Now, there's plenty of ways still around this, but I think it's annoying that we have to keep playing whack-a-mole with all of Microsoft's, bullshit just to actually use this operating system in the manner that we've pretty much been using for most of computing history, right? If the day comes that you effectively...
I think that's actually crazy that you need to... I think it's actually crazy that they would need you to sign into an external third-party server to literally use a local system. That's actually insane. That's crazy.
Actively need to be connected to Microsoft services to use their operating system. I think that's going to be a real big kick in the balls for a lot of people who genuinely have become
that's like when YouTube made it so that you had to use a Google Plus account to use YouTube. That caused huge fucking issues.
But continue to use it because it's pretty much the only option that they have. Now, obviously, Microsoft Windows is okay for most of the times, but generally it can get bloated, and you could use debloating software that exists out there, or you could just roll with the punches. But switching over to Linux, at least for me personally, and it seems like for PewDiePie and a lot of other people on the platform that have switched to it, it seems like they are genuinely using a more cleaner, more efficient operating system, right? I mean, just on a personal level, when I switched over to Mac for work, I actually felt that I was using an operating system that was probably 10, 15 years more advanced than whatever Microsoft was peddling. So
absolutely. I mean, that is a huge thing about Microsoft versus Macs. Macs are... People are always yapping. They're like, oh my God, Microsoft is cheaper. It's easier. It's more affordable, blah, blah, blah. But because you pay a premium for a Mac, not just the hardware is generally more elegant, better, more aesthetic. You're also paying that premium to not have to fucking deal with as much bloatware, system not lock-in, like, you're not as attuned to the whims of Microsoft as a large company, because Microsoft as a company isn't just like, Microsoft as a company isn't just the operating system. They're also like, they do a lot of different programs. They have Microsoft Mail, like Outlook. They have an entire like business suite. They have like the gaming. They have all these different points. Their AI, blah, blah, blah. Mac and Apple has a refinement that Microsoft can't have, because Microsoft has so many different businesses that they need to keep alive, that they need to force into one operating system to get as many users as possible. While Mac doesn't need to focus on that. Mac is a hardware company that sometimes does software. Let's just be real. Apple, yes, that's the thing. Low Level said it itself. Apple has the benefit of completely closed system. Windows' main problem is the universal backwards compatibility, and that Windows has to work on every computer that uses Windows. Like, Mac only works on Mac hardware, so they don't have to do all of the different like tag points of going back to Microsoft. You run Windows on a Sony computer. You can't run Mac on a Sony computer. I don't even know who fucking makes laptops anymore. You can't on a Dell. You run Windows on a Dell. Microsoft doesn't own Dell, so they inherently have to add all of this extra stuff to get those Dell users to use Windows products on top of it. That's the issue. Because Mac is closed hardware and software wise, you don't have to add all that bloat and all that bullshit.
Microsoft Windows is entrenched, it's had its market share, and it will continue to be one of the most used systems out there. But at the end of all this,
only because of boomers,
you now have an alternative like Linux, and you've always had Mac for the most part, which you can actually switch to. So Microsoft doesn't necessarily have their monopoly that I guess, they've kind of had. It is one of those things that is slowly but surely dying out, simply because most people, you, me, finally have actual competition.
Microsoft is the opposite of software company that does hardware sometimes, absolutely.
So one of the comments that I saw was just use Windows 10 IoT Ultimate LTSC, which is a special version of Windows 10. If you don't know, Windows 11 is dying out. Windows 10 is still supported through these IoT versions. And then they also mention use tools like O&O Shut Up. For anybody that has no idea what that is, O&O Shut Up 10++, yeah, it rolls right off your fucking tongue. Am I right, boys? Free anti-spy tool for Windows 10 and 11. Like, you see the problem over here? Like when you have to use anti-spy tools to...
Azure is their main income these days, right? No, I think that Microsoft probably makes more money through... Microsoft, I think, makes probably more money through their Office 365 suite as like a business suite more than Azure. Windows 10 is unsupported starting in October. Ugh, I didn't know that.
To cut all the cords out of your system constantly, this is not okay. All right, you see the problem here? Like, when you have to actually like run software that's getting rid of alleged telemetry and all these bloated features, maybe it's time, if you're running this, maybe consider switching over to something that is more respectful of your freedoms, of your rights on your system, and not something that just runs all this crap, so to speak.
I want to start off by going through the reasons why I switched to Linux. It's different for everybody. Number one is how backlit this shot is. Number one, Windows talks to me like I'm a baby. Now, mentally, I might be, but that does not warrant. You want Candy Crush? You want Candy Crush on your computer? You want to use Bing? Yes. Are you sure you want to delete that file? Are you super duper sure you want to delete the file?
You know what? I agree. Microsoft Windows does treat you like a baby. You know, when you download this operating system and install it onto your system, even if you're somehow still paying for a Microsoft key in today's year, yeah, you will just have ads constantly thrown into your system. You will have stuff constantly added. It's why people use debloating software. And yes,
which is crazy. Imagine paying for an operating system and getting ads on it. That's disgusting.
You know, Microsoft is kind of patronizing, but I disagree a little bit with Felix. When Microsoft says, are you sure you want to delete that file? I'm pretty sure it's trying to make sure that people aren't deleting things that they probably shouldn't be. It's one of the reasons why on Microsoft Windows, you can't just willy-nilly system wipe System32 off of your system and kill your system from actually working. It's also the reason why underneath Linux, if you really wanted to, you can run one simple terminal command and effectively gut and kill your entire system. So yeah, Linux is meant to give you complete control, whereas Microsoft, you know, they will baby you, all right? And sometimes I do kind of respect the babying, okay? Because I'm sure there's still some dumb users that are still willing to destroy their installations.
That is because a lot of Windows users are fucking boomers. Like, think about how many people who use Windows just aren't actually tech savvy. I feel like Windows users aren't always the most tech savvy. Like, my mom is a Windows user, not tech savvy. My sister is a Windows user, not tech savvy. So many Windows users are not tech savvy.
But as far as it comes to ads like Candy Crush and TikTok and all the crazy apps and games they already want pre-installed onto your system, I wholeheartedly disagree, all right? It's one of the reasons why I personally also switched entirely to Linux, okay? I didn't want another company deciding what the fuck should be on my system. I should be deciding what I install and what I uninstall, okay? Simple as that.
3, customization. I discovered this afterwards. Customizing on Linux is a beautiful thing. On Windows, you can maybe change your wallpaper, change a little bit of colors, whoopity-doo. On Linux, you can change reality itself.
Now, he's actually not wrong there. Customization for Linux is like the most important thing, okay? There's entire people that race the shit out of their systems. Now, if you ever want to see customization on Linux...
As a reminder, if you spend all your time racing Linux, you're single.
r/Unix porn is one of the largest communities all centered around customizing their Linux desktop. And oh my god, is it...
I feel like understanding tech is crucial for understanding how business/the economy works nowadays. Not really. You'd be surprised.
Serial experiments lane. Holy, that brings me back. But again, you can see that people take their Linux installations and absolutely customize them, sometimes to an extensive format, sometimes to, you know, whatever this is, you know, whether it be super cutesy, it's all types of customization. You can make your system look as clean or as bloated as you actually want. And he's true, Felix is right. Customizing Windows is really not customization at all. You might change a wallpaper, you might change a few themes, but generally it is exactly how...
There's tons of Gen Z who only know how iPad apps and have no clue how a computer works regardless of operating system. That is so true. I think one of the really big things, this is how you can tell someone truly is Gen Z versus millennial, and this is something that's kind of been on and off a discussion, is if you're making a big purchase, will you do it on your phone or on your laptop? The majority of Gen Z would gladly do very large purchases, very large value purchases on their phones, versus a millennial and later Gen Z, big screen. They need to be on their computer to like review everything, always on big screen. Always on big screen. I'm big screen. I'm sorry. I'm on big screen because I got to pull up different things, navigate through, blah, blah. Gen Z and Gen Alpha have no issue doing big purchase on big screen, on small screen.
How Microsoft Windows wants you to look. And that's not to say there isn't obviously customization to Windows. I mean, this is a great video right here by Vinstar where they actually showcase a lot of third-party tools that can be used to modify the Windows desktop environment to a point where I would say it kind of ditches that traditional look that we have, but it's not going to be near anywhere extensive as what you can do on something like Linux, obviously, where you're really allowed to go above and beyond with modifying almost every single aspect due to its incredibly modular nature. With Linux, you could literally mix and match different styles of system themes. You could pick which desktop environments you often want on your system. Do you want to have something that resembles Mac? Do you want to have something that resembles Windows? Do you not even want to deal with Windows in the first place? You have full command and control of your system. Now, I'm somebody that's a pretty regular vanilla guy when it comes to customization, but I've always appreciated how Linux has allowed people to truly express themselves and make their desktop work the best it can for them. Okay, simple as that. That's good. That's a great reason to have it.
I actually installed Linux.
LT2 was talking about how this Gen Z getting racked because they never learned to compare products on a big screen. Probably, that is actually so true. A lot of new streamers don't understand you need upload speed to stream. Okay, listen. I don't know that either. I don't know. My internet is right next to my computer. My internet is right there.
15 years ago. That's right, I'm old. And I uninstalled it after like a couple days, as a lot of people do.
I've also come to realize just now that my ice tray tastes really bad. I need new ice trays.
I realized, oh, I can't use the things I need on Linux. And for me, that was gaming back then, because it's like, well, then what's the point?
You know what? That's exactly one of the reasons why I myself, well, probably around around 15, maybe 17 years ago, also tried experimenting with Linux. So I remember back then I got like Ubuntu running on my system and I thought, whoa, this looks really cool. This is like brand new stuff. I was tinkering with it for like 5-10 minutes until I realized I can't really run my games on here. Now back in the day for running Linux, you know, you had wild desktops. Remember back like 15-16 years ago on YouTube, there would be like people showing you like desktop cubes and like wobbly windows and like genie effects. And I was like, wow, that's really cool for like 10 minutes. Okay, now can I play that video game that I want? So, you know, you look at the video games being played back then, and it was a struggle to get something like Halo 1's demo running underneath Wine, which is the translation layer we all use to play video games. Now, I would probably not believe you if even
6 Mbps. I don't know what megabytes per second. Yes. If you don't have 6 megabytes per second, Fire ISP, let me do one of those tests. Let's do one of those tests. What is it? Speed test? Is it speed test? Speedtest.net. I just want to let y'all know I do pay for fiber. Why does it say I'm using Spectrum? I don't use Spectrum. Ooh. Whoo. Vroom, vroom, baby. Vroom, fucking vroom. I do pay for 1 gig. I pay for Verizon. Or not Verizon. I pay for Fios. Okay. So my download is 736.65 megabytes per second. And my upload is 559.71. I do pay for 1 gig, so I should call and be mad about it, but that's on this computer. This is on Wi-Fi. This is on Wi-Fi. Am I currently cabled on this computer? I don't know how. This is a dumb question. How do you tell? How do you tell on a Windows computer if you're using if you're Wi-Fi or not? It says Wi-Fi available. I don't know. Let's do a speed test on this computer. Speedtest.net. Steve, thank you so much for the follow. Okay. Speedtest.net on this computer. Ooh. Come on. Get up. Let's go. You should be wired. Get up there. There we go. Oh. Oh. Oh, wow. Okay. Period. Nice. Period. Okay. So on my Windows machine, my download is 755. My upload is 692, but I was getting up to 800s. So I think we're good.
5 years ago, you told me that I could play something like Expedition 33 day one underneath Linux, which I actually am, with modifications. I would never believe you if I could play Cyberpunk 2077 with all of its DLC, all of its graphics blown up underneath my actual Linux distribution day one. Okay, that
Which
would
is
be
really
insane.
awesome.
But here we are, ladies and gentlemen.
I mean, so this is now this is me being little baby boo boo. This is me being little baby boo boo. If Max... No, I'm not going to ask that question. It's stupid!
Most of the newest releases that have dropped literally this year run day one underneath Linux. And I have not needed to fire up Windows at all, other than play, games that, require some sort of multiplayer anti-cheat. That computer back there is my Windows system, primarily used just to play games like...
Also, I will say having the speed at the speed that I pay for is important because I live stream to 4 different platforms, and each live stream takes up its own bandwidth.
Like Rainbow Six Siege and Grand Theft Auto Online. And out of the few hours that I play it per week, I would probably spend more time if the anti-cheats opened up for Linux. I would probably actually spend more money on those games if I could run them underneath Linux. Windows for me only exists for a handful of video games that are still tied to anti-cheat systems. Other than that, most games and the mods underneath those games work pretty much day one out of the box out of Linux. In fact, I would actually say that things like the Steam Deck have pretty much made Linux kind of a necessity for certain mod communities and emulator communities out there, even indie gaming communities, to actually support. It used to be that modding and doing things underneath Linux was actually annoying. But because of how popular Linux handhelds like the Steam Deck are, there are so many guides and communities that exist where they'll walk you through how to mod games like Skyrim, Cyberpunk, Grand Theft Auto. I mean, it's insane how friendly and how useful the communities have gotten to try to convince and get people.
There are too many times when I keep thinking that Steam Deck and Stream Deck are the same thing.
To go from Windows all the way over to Linux. And it's not easy to use, Linux day one, especially if you're not completely comfortable with it. But if you're willing to...
Yes, like I feel like if someone wanted to slowly acclimate to the idea of using Linux, they can do something like Windows to Mac to Linux, because getting used to the command line in Mac, I feel like, is really easy as a way, or getting the Windows subsystem to Linux and spending time in that is good, but like jumping in is hard.
Tinker and you're willing to go through like 10-15 minutes of a user guide or a YouTube video, then I think you'll probably have a pretty good time. Now, PewDiePie kind of talks about like actually doing like creative work. Like as a content creator, he actually uses software like OBS Studio to record his stream.
He
also uses software like Photoshop, like a lot of the Adobe suite, unwillingly to edit and do thumbnails for videos. I do the same thing myself too, and that's one of the weaknesses of Linux, and I don't want to pretend that it's somehow great. But let me explain something here. Linux is all about open source software. It's all about a community coming together to put together alternatives to the big commercial guys. Linux itself is a big, like, actual, like, fuck you. It's a big, like, I guess you could say, it's an alternative, a free and open source alternative to the big commercial guys in the space. It's not perfect, but it's something that's outside the scope of just one company's controls. So PewDiePie was showcasing, like, GIMP, for instance, which is an alternative to software like Photoshop. Now, somebody that edits their own videos, albeit sometimes pretty poorly, I would say that software that most YouTube creators use is probably things like Sony Vegas. Some people still use that.
Who the fuck is still using Sony Vegas?
I think Charlie does. There's software like DaVinci Resolve, which I am...
What? You're telling me that Moist Critical, Penguin Zero, edits all of his videos in Sony Vegas? That's crazy. Wow.
I'm learning, and it's great software, especially the fact that it runs natively underneath Linux. But I'm sure that a lot of you guys probably use Adobe Creative Cloud, Adobe Premiere, After Effects.
I'm not gonna lie, I went from, I got a free Adobe subscription through Hack5, so I went from using DaVinci to, from DaVinci to Adobe Premiere.
Adobe Audition, a lot of Adobe software which is still locked primarily to Windows and Mac, and that does not play at all underneath Linux. Now, unless you're somebody like me that can run a virtual machine underneath their system.
But honestly, for my TikToks, to make my time as efficient as possible, I've just been using CapCut. Honestly, I just use CapCut for a lot of my TikToks now.
With graphics cards passed through, which I'll show you how to do towards the tail end of this video, you could get Adobe technically running underneath Linux. But unless you're willing to pick up some of the alternatives, which they're pretty good, and as long as you're able to relearn some of your stuff, you can actually wean yourself off of Adobe, for instance, or utilizing Windows. You can pick up other software, and
CapCut is amazing, and I hate myself for it also, because it allows me, like, editing in... especially for shorts, for something that's only like a few seconds long, it's just so effective for what I needed to do.
try to change your workflows, and you can probably get most of your workflow translated over to Linux and free and open software as long as you're willing to learn and keep an open mind. However, if you're an actual professional and you absolutely need a certain piece of software to work stably, by the way, then Linux probably isn't all the way there.
Absolutely,
but it's also not so
absolutely.
far in the Stone Age that you can't at least give it a try. So at some point, Felix here also...
So that's why I have if I really am so passionately inclined to try Linux, I have a Linux computer that I exclusively is for like Linux and Linux related stuff. I don't mind fucking it up. It doesn't have anything of critical importance on it, but like as Muda says, it's what's most important is that if you're a working professional and you need something stable that's going to work, Linux is not your option. Just gonna put that out there. Linux is not your option.
Starts to show you guys that dreaded terminal. So here's Felix actually showcasing some console commands to actually showcase how, again, the terminal works. Now, the terminal is one of those things that I feel people are unnecessarily scared of when it comes to Linux. Now, to show you guys like a real quick understanding of the terminal, so to speak, right? This is, again, one of the fearful things that people look at and they're like, whoa, this is so confusing. This is only what engineers use. Okay, I need something simple. Now, how many times do you go on like the internet and you have to like download things like Steam or a client like VLC for watching videos or something like Firefox, like a web browser? What if you could just do that within seconds? Instead of going to every single web page, downloading their installers and running them each one by one. What if all you had to do was type in words like sudo for super user, which means that you're installing something on a system level, gonna have to give it the admin permissions, obviously. Type in words like apt, which for the Linux distribution that I'm using, which we'll get to in a bit, Linux Mint, apt is the package manager, right? And each different distro has its specific package manager. For me, it's apt. Then type in words like install, and then you can type in Firefox for your web browser, VLC for your video player, and Steam, and just hit enter. And as long as you just slap in the word yes, it'll...
Your dual, what did you say? Oh no. Whoa, all my things just went. Your dual computer setup works the best. Run Linux on something cheap so it's fast and smooth, and then remote into Windows for games. I feel like that's probably not good for gaming. Let's just be real, remoting into a Windows system for gaming is like not the thing.
It'll do it all for you right in front. So
speaking of gaming, I have started playing Blatro.
again, it gets all the dependencies.
Do people want me to stream playing Blatro?
It gets all your packages, and you can
I'm
feel
not
like you're
very
the most
good.
ultimate like Matrix level. You can feel like you're Neo from the fucking Matrix, installing crazy packages, and all without you ever skipping a beat. Literally, as I'm speaking, everything's already done and ready to go. And boom, you've got VLC
Allie finally enters her gamer arc on Twitch. Is crazy.
pretty much ready. So yeah, this is the beauty of using something like Linux's terminal. If you figure out how it works and you're not scared of it, and I don't think anybody should be, you absolutely can take severe control of your system and optimize it and utilize it in ways faster than you could ever expect. And it's not to say that Windows doesn't use the terminal either. There's a very powerful terminal for Windows, which you can also use to install applications in a safer and faster way than the traditional method too. Now, obviously, PewDiePie also was asked, he also talked about like, which version of Linux should you get? And he showcased like this whole list of different
Interesting. Linux Mint. Okay. Arch, Debian, Fedora, Bree site. I've never heard of that. Gentoo, Drivia. Never heard of it. Mint, Kubuntu, OpenSUSE, PC Linux OS, Red Hat, Sabian, Slackware, Slacks, Ubuntu, Xubuntu. Okay. I'm not a active Linux girl, but out of these, the ones that I recognize, Arch, Debian, Fedora, Gentoo, Mint, Red Hat, and Ubuntu. No Kali? No Kali? This is Kali Linux erasure.
distributions. Now, this is one of the questions that I get to. It's like, which version of Linux should I use? And honestly, I'll give you the most simple answer right here, okay? Whichever one's the most popular and whichever one's the easiest to use. Now, in this list, he kind of showcased the difficulty curve of tons of different distributions, right? For instance, you probably heard of things like Red Hat, which is preferably for people in the enterprise, like people who are running like server stacks, like real pros, okay? You've probably got things like Linux Mint, which is one that is super easy to use, the one that I'm currently using, the one where literally you don't have to use anything crazy like command lines and terminals. Linux Mint, I made a video about this probably like 10 days ago at this point, and I actually said, literally the only reason I use it now is because unlike Arch Linux, unlike any other Linux distributions, it is as easy to use as Microsoft Windows. Now, of course, you've got things like Gentoo Linux, you've got things like Arch Linux that, again, require some extra understanding, some real understanding of Linux, some real learning curves involved here, buckos. And, you know, there's no shame in you saying, I want to use the easy mode version, okay? I don't want to use hard mode. There's no shame. As long as it works for you, be fine with it, okay? If somebody shames you for it, you can tell them to go fuck themselves. But anyways, one of the sites that I could recommend is distrowatch.com, and usually in their top rankings, Mint is actually currently ahead ahead by a large margin. It's one of the most used Linux distributions for good reasons. It's just simple and easy to use. It's very quick to get going, very easy to install. I've shown you how to install. It takes literally minutes to get going.
What do y'all remember that video of that old lady showing everyone how to install Arch or how to install Mint Linux? Oh, what a legend. I wonder if she's doing good. I love her.
And it's
she was making like how to install Arch videos. What's her name? True Round, welcome in. What's her name? What, do you remember her name? I want to give her a shout out. Her videos are so cute. Also, someone redeemed to drink water. I literally don't have any water right now.
very easy to use system, very easy to maintain. Literally updating it is a breeze. I open one update manager here at the bottom. It has all my graphic driver updates, everything else ready to go with one click, and boom.
Andrea Borman. Okay, hold on 1 second. Let's try and get this open. I want to give her a shout out. Oh, I'm obsessed with her. Oh my God, I'm obsessed with her. Wait, I opened the wrong thing. Hold on. Look at her. She's so cute. She's just some old lady and she just makes Linux content. Oh my God. Oh my God. How to use FFmpeg on Linux. Why you should think about switching to Linux. NeoFetch has been discontinued. What's the alternative? Queen, I love you. She's been making content for 14 years. Wow. What a legend. So good.
You're done. Now, of course, you can use things like MX Linux, CachyOS, EndeavourOS, Debian, PopOS, Manjaro, Ubuntu. You can use anything in this list. As long as it works for you, that's all that matters, okay? Again, you should absolutely be tinkering with this kind of stuff, maybe run it in a virtual machine, just play around. And even beyond this list, there's other Linux distributions like Boss Linux. If you want to use an Indian version of Linux, like Linux from India, you can.
Linux, Indian Linux is so funny.
And I would recommend using any governmental Linux, but it's all available, okay?
Oh, is this the government Linux? Yeah.
There's Red Star OS from North Korea. In fact, if you're somebody that loves Windows XP and the
I mean, if you're going to talk about crazy Linux versions, never forget Hannah Montana Linux.
The way that it looks, you can get something called
My Little, wait, isn't it like My Little, for the bronies. Let's see, is this gonna focus? My Little Unix.
called Q4 OS, which actually does look pretty damn close to Windows XP. So if you just want to use something that looks like Windows XP in the modern fucking era, it's freely accessible and available. Now, at the end of this video,
That's
he does kind of
iconic.
showcase his ricing, which I highly recommend you go watch. It's like the ultimate tinker's wet dream. He basically installs something called Hyperland and just makes his computer look the way that he wants to, super optimized, super built for his style, okay? It's literally ribbed for his pleasure, so to speak, all right? As disgusting as that sounds. But again, ladies and gentlemen, that is just the beauty of Linux, okay? And when it comes to things like distributions, one of the reasons why I personally really love Linux is just how versatile and how amazing it can be when the community is really involved. For instance, Bazzite Linux that I showed you not too long ago, I have installed in the Mutabox gaming system down below. And it's not really a Mutabox gaming system, it's actually a computer I picked.
Can I ask a really dumb question? Hardware people, hardware bros, can I ask you a dumb question? What's the difference between a monitor and a computer screen? Or like a monitor and a TV? Like what's the difference between like a computer monitor and a TV? Then why are some of them called monitors and some of them called TVs?
Picked up on sale, I decided to install Bazzite Linux.
Usually
and the reason I
refresh
installed
rate,
Bazzite Linux onto it was that I could actually make the system
So do monitors have a lower refresh rate or a higher refresh rate?
operate like a
Pixel
Steam Deck.
density.
So instead of, like logging into my gaming computer and connecting a controller, it actually operates like a real gaming console. So again, one of the things with PC gaming is obviously hooking things
Well,
up to a
smart one's
HDMI
stupid.
monitor, connecting.
Monitors have higher,
It's not
okay.
as simple to use as like a PlayStation or an Xbox. But with Bazzite, I actually literally have a console-like PC system. So I basically fire it up, it instantly logs into Steam, gets me the user interface that is on the Steam Deck, and I connect a PlayStation controller, and boom, I'm actually playing modern games like Expedition 33. I'm playing really most of my Steam library, and then again, games beyond my Steam library, so things things on GOG, the Epic games, so on, to even old games like Need for Speed Carbon, like old PC games, I actually have working underneath the system, and I'm playing them as if I was actually running them on a PlayStation. It's super simple, super awesome, and I couldn't recreate this on Microsoft Windows that efficiently if I wanted to. And look,
Yeah,
honestly,
of
like, it's
course.
kind of crazy to see how
let's
far
just be real. Microsoft is so locked down, you wouldn't be able to recreate any of that stuff. Let's just be real.
Linux is becoming too. Like recently I saw on Lenovo's website for the ThinkPad, which is a pretty popular like release of a laptop, they actually do allow users to install or pre-install Linux Ubuntu onto it. And there's also like Linux like laptop and hardware manufacturers. But I think it's pretty cool when a big company like Lenovo lets you save
Lenovo pre-installs Linux. Wow.
$2 on your device just by having Linux installed onto it. So you're not paying for this shitty Windows license that, you know, let's be honest, you could probably save that $200 and get extra RAM onto the system. I mean, it's crazy how companies are passing on the savings to you, so you can actually end up putting that towards actual better hardware, actual better system, versus just having Microsoft's dog water bloat exist on your system, stuff that you probably should get rid of anyways in the favor of switching over to something like Linux. Now, of course, if you're somebody that literally is like, but Muda, I need Microsoft Windows, you can actually run it underneath a virtual machine pretty easily. So there's this one GitHub called Kboid, all right, this complete single GPU pass-through. It constantly gets updated, and it is actually one that, again, I'm not going to say it's super easy, it's like completely easy to follow. This does require you to learn, have a basic understanding of how Linux works, but as long as you're willing to give things a try, it's a matter of following basic console commands over here, dragging and dropping these into a terminal, and once all of these commands are followed and you actually really go through with this and understand how it works, it's not too difficult for you to actually open up a virtual machine manager. And like I have things set up over here, I can actually pass through my graphics card. So inside this virtual machine, it literally has my RTX 4090. So if for some reason I do need to have something like Windows underneath the system, whether I want better gaming performance or I just want to run a shady piece of software with all of my computer's resources geared towards it, I can do this. And again, you don't even need to have multiple graphic cards. I'm sharing my one graphic card between two of these systems. Now, you might be like, why not just dual boot at that point? But the thing is, all right, underneath Linux, I can contain Windows and all of its bloat and spyware into one container, meaning that it never gets to look at what my computer is as a whole. And if I do want to run shady software, which I have done for things like virus investigations, I have a virtual machine right here with full pass-through. So if I want to game underneath it and do cool stuff like running malware on my system, like PUBG malware that was actually locking my system down until I played a specific game, I have the ability to do so with software.
So he's just introducing people to VMs.
Like this. But again, it's just the amount of freedom and versatility you can do with Linux that is impossible, in my opinion, with Microsoft Windows or even Mac, okay? It really is a freeing system. And it's one of those things where if you're a tinker, which I assume you are if you're following my channel, it's something that would absolutely be amazing for you to just play around with. And I think right now is probably the best time to get into it. You know, if this was like 5-6 years ago, I would never recommend Linux to anybody watching my videos because it really wasn't, the state of it wasn't where it was at now. But with the amount of work that Valve and a lot of companies have put towards Linux, it is probably the best time to get involved. And honestly, I think for many gamers out there, you would actually be surprised how efficient Linux is and how comparative it is to just the Windows experience. But again, it's entirely up to you. If you don't like it, it's so easy to switch back to Windows. It's so easy to dual boot this stuff alongside. But I think PewDiePie's video is an amazing video because honestly, it's like, it really is great when a large, popular like personality, again, showcases something like this. But it's also great that it demystifies a lot of what Linux really is. Some people think it's a highly confusing system, and it can be. But it can also be really easy to jump into and get acclimated pretty quickly these days. So yeah, ultimately, ladies and gentlemen, I don't even consider this a cope video. I just consider this to be the state of Linux as of today. So if you're somebody that was kind of penguin curious, well, I think you should dive right into that fucking penguin, ladies and gentlemen.
Crazy.
And maybe, just maybe, you might end up sticking on this island of ours. But if you ever wanted a real alternative to Windows, I think you got it. If you like what you saw, please like, comment, and subscribe. Dislike if you dislike it, I am out.
Thank you, Muda. Iconic. So, what are people feeling? What are people feeling about that? Oh, music really loud, music really loud. I couldn't even load the Epic installer. I was getting errors. Oh no. Okay. What do people feel? How are people feeling about that? I think that was good. I think that was good. Somebody wants a drip check. Y'all are just redeeming redemptions now for fun. I don't have a lot of redemptions. I canceled a couple of them. One was like, just drink water. I don't have any water right now. I will do a drip check in a second. I'll do a drip check in a second. I do like the original video. It was more wholesome. Stop redeeming water. I don't have any water right now. Okay. Drip check really fast. I don't have any water. The shorts are Kill Crew. The shirt is Urban Outfitters. The necklace is Steph effing off or something. Tiffany necklace. The glasses are from I Buy Direct, and the earrings are from some random shop in Williamsburg. That's the tea. Go get some water? No. PewDiePie's videos recently have been very wholesome. They have been very wholesome. Again, he's in his retirement era. He's like retired. He doesn't need to do anything he doesn't want to do. Like, I'm more curious if PewDiePie is generationally wealthy because he's just coasting, you know? Bro's just doing whatever he wants. He's on his side quest era. He is wholesome, he is side questing, and he's having a good time about it. But, do you know what time it is? Time to talk about cybersecurity. Time to talk about cybersecurity. What's the tea right now? What's happening in cybersecurity? Anything good? I feel like last week was just so spicy with cybersecurity. So I feel like the past couple days have just been insanely cybersecurity spicy. Bingo board. We do need to pull up the bingo board. Bingo Canva. What happened last week? A lot has happened in cybersecurity. Bingo board, board of the bingo. Whew. Here's what the bingo board says right now. The April 2025 bingo board. Branded vulnerability. General public encryption FUD. Country shamed by Citizen Labs. Amnesty for spyware. Major CVE found only using AI tools. Signal leaves the country. Discord is hacked. IoT brand exploited. Microsoft security fail. Major Signal Messenger vulnerability found big web app framework major CVE. EU country passes encryption backdoor. Security flaw found in core library of programming language. Video game company hacked for game leaks. Elon is hacked. Major influencer becomes state actor asset. I'm saying the Tape Bros in Russia. The US entity gets hit with ransomware. And notorious cyber criminal pardoned. So what is happening cybersecurity wise? I don't know. I feel like it's been a little slow. Let's see, security. It's been pretty quiet. CVE was ours. Yes, we already covered the CVE thing. New Android spyware targeting FBI offers $10 million for Salt Typhoon. iOS and Android juice jacking defenses have been trivial to bypass for years. Snooze, yawn. Let me see if I have anything saved on Twitter. I have this from April 23rd. We're seeing a clear trend. Attackers are bypassing the endpoint entirely, not just avoiding traditional EDR monitored systems by pivoting to embedded and edge devices, but now also operating purely on the cloud. No shell, no malware, no persistence on the endpoint, just an OAuth token and full access to whatever is in the victim's Microsoft 365, Google Workspace, or AWS console. It's a complete inversion of how things used to be. The endpoint, once the weakest link, is now the most monitored. Most policy-enforced parts of the infrastructure, you got EDRs, SIEM integration, automation, threat hunting, the full stack, but attackers don't need to touch it anymore. Now they go for new soft spots. Cloud platforms where logging is limited, expensive, or off by default. Network devices and appliances, which are practically blind spots, obscure OSs, no EDRs, hard to monitor, hard to forensicate, embedded systems and IoT junk that no one really knows how to secure but sit in critical network paths. Cloud is especially a mess. This reads like a LinkedIn post. It probably was at one point. So this is the only story I have for on my Twitter. Let's pop open Discord and see what security stories we have today on the Discord. Linux IO Yoring security blind spot allows stealthy rootkit attacks. One of the UK's largest department stores just got hacked. CEO of cybersecurity firm charged with installing malware on hospital. Yikes. Attacks against Teltonica Networks SMS gateways. Ubisoft. Spain, Portugal, parts of France hit by massive power outages. I mean, this is not cybersecurity. This is just news. Until it's confirmed cybersecurity, like, that's just news, you know? Nothing very interesting on this. The malware on hospitals, not much happening. Yeah. The malware on hospitals. Okay, let's visit this site. Let's see this. CEO is facing 2 counts of violating Oklahoma's Computer Crimes Act for allegedly infecting employee computers. The man is accused of installing malware on hospital computers on August 6th. Bowie was arrested on April 14th following the issuance of an arrest warrant. Security footage reportedly shows the man attempting to access multiple offices before installing malicious software designed to capture screenshots every 20 minutes and transmit them to an external IP address. New court documents reveal security cameras. When confronted by hospital staff, he claimed he had a family member undergoing surgery and needed to use the computer. A forensic review by the hospital later uncovered the malware. Statements published by the healthcare organization confirmed that on April 6th, an unauthorized attempt to install malware was quickly contained. That's like bad, but not very newsworthy for me. Attackers chained Kraft CMS 0-day attacks in the wild. Storm, no, boring. What else is trending here? What is this? Now it's Cybersecurity News Hour. Well, Cybersecurity News 30 minutes. Interlock ransomware gang started leaking data allegedly stolen from leading kidney dialysis firm. Come on. Healthcare is already so hard. Be nice. Phishing for codes. Russian threat actors target Microsoft 365 OAuth workflows. The SAP NetWeaver one looked promising. I don't know. Velexity has observed multiple suspected Russian threat actors conducting highly targeted social engineering operations aimed at gaining access to Microsoft 365 accounts of targeted individuals. Observable drop in Russian threat actors leveraging that specific method. Observe them pivoting to different methods of attack that abuse other legitimate 365 auth workflows. These recently observed attacks rely heavily on one-on-one interaction with the target. Velexity is currently tracking what is believed to be at least 2 Russian threat actors, which it tracks as UTA and UTA. Behind these attacks, it is plausible that there are overlaps between these threat actors and those Velexity previously reported as conducting device code auth phishing. Diplomatic channels to nowhere. In March, Velexity learned that some of its customers were receiving suspicious messages via Signal and WhatsApp. Targeted staff members worked at NGOs that supported human rights and specifically have expertise working on issues related to Ukraine. Yeah, UTA is probably unknown threat actor. Not very interesting. So boring, so boring. Back online after catastrophic attack. 4chan says it's too broke for good IT. Yikes. I mean, I didn't end up covering the 4chan story. I could cover the 4chan story. Oh, wait. No. I could cover 4chan. Would people want me to cover the 4chan story? We could cover that. Everyone wants to hear about 4chan. We could cover the 4chan story. You could react to low levels videos. I mean, he's right here, but I can't do that for Threatwire. I can't react to a video for Threatwire. That's not Threatwire content. Your vendor may be the weakest link. Percentage of third-party breaches doubled in a year. Booby track Alpine Quest. Ransomware scum. Other crims. I cannot stand whoever is fucking writing these research articles for the... UN says Asia scam call center epidemic expanded globally amid heat. Hacking US crosswalks to talk like Zuck as easy as 1, 2, 3. So the 4chan story, people want the 4chan story. So we could talk about the 4chan story. I will say, we did have a lot of people very mad in the last Threatwire in the comments. Very, very mad, which I did not appreciate. A lot of people were very pressed about the fact that I covered politics on Threatwire last time. The 4chan is pretty old news. Yeah, it is old news, but I never covered it, you know? So I figured it'd be good to maybe cover it. Let's see. I built a hardware processor that runs Python. False accusations, The Verge, BBC Technology, dedicated to the people upset about the Elon story. It wasn't even the Elon story. It was like every political story I covered last week had people really pressed. It was like actually kind of sad though. So a lot of the replies were very like incelly. Let's see. Sort by newest first. Cult followers are not welcome. Goodbye if you're leaving. I only found textual economic information. I'm the name of adaptiveness. Russia could use this support to support their choosing of ransomware targets, nothing else. In return for that risk, American people get to see how much money saved. No. Bad take. Dang, used to like Hack 5. Bye. I understand they don't worship Trump like how you do, period. Someone got really pressed on one of the shorts I published, which I thought was really funny. Who got really, someone, that's President Trump, you ingrate. I just thought that was really funny. This person is like, oh no. This person is like so mad because I refused to say President Trump. Like, mind your business. Like, bro, mind your business. If you can't cover news that are even politically, blatantly political, Threatwire would be a 30-second monthly short. Absolutely. Hack5 said machines were insecure, were in use at one point. CISA contradicted that. I do not know the exact timeline. Absolutely not. You know that they're just covering. You know that they're just covering. Intel faces challenges as CEO retools. Yawn, snooze, magoos. Trump is already ruining Christmas, of course. Yawn, snooze, magoos. Patch Tuesday. Corrupt Microsoft Office documents used in phishing. Okay. Apple illegally surveilled and censored workers. Well, Apple is like a company of censorship. Let's just be real. Apple is extremely censorship prone. NetWeaver zero-day flaw actively exploited to deploy web shells. Obfuscation techniques. A key React router vulnerabilities allow attackers to spoof content and values. Interesting. New iOS vulnerability that could brick iPhones in just one line of code. That's interesting. A security researcher has uncovered a critical vulnerability in iOS. The CVE, which leverages the long-standing but little-known Darwin notification system, allows any app, including those confined by Apple's usually strict sandbox regulations, push the entire device into an inescapable restore-in-progress state with a single line of code. The discovery centers around Darwin's notifications, a legacy API deeply embedded within Apple's Core OS layer. While most iOS developers are familiar with mechanisms like NS Notification Center for infra-app communication, Darwin notifications enable low messaging, but not only without special privileges, but also across process boundaries, meaning virtually any app can send or receive these messages. The security researcher. Oh, this is cool. We'll cover this. This could definitely be used for a ransomware attack. This is a good one. That's exciting. The most destructive action required only a single innocuous-looking function call. This line tricks the system into believing a device restore from backup is underway. Wow. A widely used React router library, a critical navigation tool for React applications, has resolved 2 high-severity CVEs that allowed attackers to spoof content, alter data values. Developers must update to router 7.5.2 immediately to mitigate risks. DOS via SPA mode cache poisoning. This could be good. Good stories here. This one will be a quick coverage. This will be a good short. Nothing new under the sun? Absolutely. But I'm a girl who loves, I'm weak for a good supply chain attack. Cloudflare mitigates record number of DDoS attacks in 2025. Coinbase has fixed a confusing bug in its activity logs account to think their credentials were compromised. Brave's cookie crumbler tool taps community to help block cookie notices. WooCommerce admins targeted by face security patches. Craft CMS RCE chain. Mobile provider MNT says cyber attack compromised customer data. Baltimore SAP fixes suspected NetWeaver zero-day attack. FBI seeks to help a mass assault typhoon. I guess this is worth covering. The Craft CMS, I don't know what Craft CMS is. New JS framework exploit just dropped, almost more common than the new JS library. Tell me more about it. A terrible content management system. Oh. Is it widely used? I guess we can cover the Linux. Oh my god. Oh my god. Linux. With, here's how we're gonna write it. PewDiePie. This past week. Linux 2025 is truly the year of the Linux desktop. PewDiePie just published an awesome video going through why he moved from Windows to Linux. So I imagine we're going to see a huge influx of users. Yes, this is a Notion. This is Notion. I love Notion. I've been using Notion for like a decade now, and it's fantastic. Maybe less than a decade, 8 years of users starting their Linux journey. But we need to remember that so this story is for all those new Linux users. A new vulnerability has been found in, and then we'll run from the right on there. We have 5 stories, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 stories for ThreatWire this week, because next week there's going to be no ThreatWire. How painful was the transition from standard keyboard to split keyboard? I've been thinking about trying one or building one. Not at all, because this split keyboard is just a standard keyboard cut in half. Some of the other split keyboards are bad, but this one is just a basic keyboard. I think the hardest part was my Y typing and how I type the letter Y, but we've resolved that. But chat, I have stand up soon. I have stand up in 15 minutes, so I'm gonna go eat a bag of grapes because I'm starving. I appreciate y'all being here. I have to go stand up. I appreciate y'all being here. There's not going to be a stream Friday, but I will stream Wednesday for y'all. I will stream on Wednesday and we could do some coding. Okay. Does that sound good? Maybe Thursday I'll stream Balatro. Do y'all want to watch me play some Balatro? I have a tragus piercing. Yes, I have many piercings. You don't know that game? I'm a newbie I'm a Balatro newbie. So, but I'm gonna go to stand up. I appreciate y'all being here. We'll do like an early morning stream on Wednesday, write some code. Maybe a day stream on Thursday really quick because I am prepping for the Net Gala. No stream Friday, nothing this weekend. Net Gala, Net Gala, Net Gala. I am going to Squeam. Who's live? Lots of game devs. Who's live right now? I need to see. Hold on. Okay. Prime is reacting to the PewDiePie video. Another takes. Oh, he's doing game dev. Ooh. Okay, sorry for dropping you off on game dev. That's probably not the most exciting, but...